Omar. I'm going to review Tyler's speech on multivitamins. So his main claim was that multivitamin pills are beneficial to your health. Uh, his three secondary claims were that multivitamin pills give you the vitamins and minerals you commonly value in your diet. Two, they maintain muscle strength. Three, they prevent dental problems. So in his first secondary claim, he states that most people don't make an effort to have a perfect diet, but he doesn't specifically give a statistical number of how many people is most. So I think that a numerical number that would be representative of the general public would be very helpful for that claim. Um, and then it's also safe to say that the people who don't take an effort in having a good diet will also lack an effort in taking multivitamin pills to compensate. Um, this claim is also not specific to which multivitamin pills he's talking about, because there's two types of multivitamin pills. There's ones that are naturally made, and then there's also that are synthetically made. Um, the vitamin pills that are synthetically made are made with chemicals in the laboratory, and these can be harmful to your health. Dr. George Obicoya made an article on vitaminandnutrition.org and he states that many synthetics are made from derivatives of coal tar, which is a known carcinogen found in cigarette smoke. So if these synthetically made vitamin pills falls under the category of claims of multivitamin pills, and I would say that's not beneficial to your health. Dr. Edward on Global HealingCenter.com also said that evolution has dictated that we eat the food that we gather from Earth, not the food that we create in the lab. So I think that's a good claim that helps my claim against him, saying that synthetically made vitamins are not beneficial to your health. Dr. Edward also said that a big problem is with the synthetically made vitamins is that you get a concentrated serving of the vitamin. And another example of that is that according to a report on Consumer Lab, high amounts of calcium can result in a higher risk of kidney stones, strokes, and even a greater risk of dying over a period of time. So that goes hand in hand with what Dr. Edwards said about the main problem with the synthetically made vitamins. Is one of the big problems with that. He also said that people with nut allergies, well, that was an example. He gave an example where people with nut allergies cannot get their vitamin E from nuts, but I don't think this is a very good example because you can also get vitamin E from other things such as avocado, fish, or broccoli. Then in his third claim, he was talking about muscle strength. He said that vitamin D is a known vitamin to improve muscle strength in older people. He does not give any statistical evidence that older people who take vitamins, there's no statistical evidence. He doesn't provide statistical evidence that proves that statement. He also references a website called bodybuilders.com, but this website does not relate to the main statement about older people. In the last part of his speech, he says that over half of Americans over the age of 30 said they experienced a system of periodontal disease, but again, he does not give any statistical proof of this, and he does not reference it in the works cited page. Overall, I would agree that vitamins are beneficial to certain types of people, such as people with allergies, people with bad eating habits, and people who are physically active. The speech needed to reference the works cited a little bit more, and I would say that he needed to specify the type of vitamins that is beneficial because synthetically made vitamins falls into the category of his claim, and that is also up for debate whether or not it's beneficial.
Thank you. I knew I had another one in there. All right. I think there's a third one on its way too. Structurally, everything is relatively clear. The lack of vitamins on the first point, you basically challenge the advocate to provide some statistical some statistical information. That's a reasonable press. I don't know how significant it is. On the second point, you're talking about the problem with synthetic versus naturally produced vitamins, and you've got a whole bunch of quotes here that talk about the advantages of the naturally produced ones, or the disadvantages or the deficiencies of the synthetic. And that becomes like your main argument here, and I'm waiting for you to show me that the synthetic vitamins represent 90% of the vitamin market. I didn't get any data like that, because if that's the case, then I think you've got a really good argument against the general proposition that the advocate's presenting. But you basically turn it into, the advocate never tells us this kind of information. I'm going, okay, well then why aren't you telling us this kind of information? Because it would strengthen the position that you're taking on this argument. On the muscle issue, your basic press here is that there's no statistical evidence. Again, you suggest that the bodybuilding website isn't really something that applies to the older folks. I don't remember what the direct quote was. The bodybuilding site might have quoted an article or a study that talked about those kinds of things. I think it would be incumbent on us to look at and review what that evidence was, and you don't do that. You just kind of mention that there's something problematic about the site because it's about bodybuilding, not what the evidence said in that particular situation. At the end, it sounds like you're making it more of a critique of the advocate's speech than a response to the advocate's speech. In essence, you say, well, I think vitamins might be good for people who have deficient diets, or that they have some kind of allergy, or if they are working on developing their muscles, which seem to be the same claims that the advocate presents. So now I'm wondering, so where is our dispute here? I guess the dispute is not that there's a difference in opinion about what is true here, but there's an opinion about whether or not the advocate did an adequate job in proving that particular point, which is not an unreasonable challenge to make, but it's really not, like I said, the refutation that we're looking for. And there's, like I said, it felt to me a little bit like you were conceding the point at the end, which was sort of the same point that happened in the previous speaker, who says, well, I don't think the death penalty is a good idea either. Well, it's like, well, I think my client's guilty of sin, but they didn't prove a good job of convicting him. That's the wrong way to go about these kinds of things. Make the argument, make your claim. All right, thank you.